Hey there, you're watching Frontcube TV. I'm Asam Najibdi. So last week, we looked at how to properly move WordPress website. So as promised, this week, we're going to look at how to create a proper workflow for your WordPress project. So it'll be helpful when you're moving to the production or when you're moving the site or even when you give access to another developer. So let's jump right in.
Okay, for the developer-friendly workflow, you're gonna get use of some of the awesome tools available. The first tool is Git. If you're not familiar with Git, I think it's the best time to get your hands dirty. Git is a source code control management system, something similar to Subversion, CVS, and Mercurial. So what it allows is it'll help you to track all your codes and only to push the updated codes to your server or from server to download to the the local computer. So you can go ahead and read the documentation. So second, we're going to use an awesome plugin called WP Sync DB. This is an awesome tool. This serializes your entire database and the data, and it's sent through the network from server to server. So this is a pretty awesome plugin. So let's start fresh. I have deleted all the files again from my local development instance, and at the same time, I have emptied my development database. And to avoid the confusion, I'm going to use the production server inside Chrome and the development server inside Safari. So first, we need to install this plugin. So unlike other plugins, the WP Sync DB depends on GitHub Updater. And at the same time, you cannot search those two plugins where the search plugin section, and you can install by clicking a button. Basically, you need to download these two zip files and then come to add plugins and click upload plugin. And then you need to install the plugin. First, I'm going to install the GitHub Updater. Install. And then I'm going to install the WP Sync DB. In order to access the plugin, you need to go to Tools and Migrate DB. And here you'll be able to find configurations. For now, let's move to the Git part, and let's come back once we install the local instance. So next, you need to make sure Git is installed in your local computer as well as your production server. To test that, you can go to your terminal program and you can type Git. And if you get this commands list, it means Git is already installed on your computer. And if it says cannot find Git or cannot understand Git, that means you need to install Git. And of course, you can follow their instruction manual to install Git into your particular platform. Next, I'm going to SSH to the server and navigate to the project folder. As you can see, I'm inside the site folder. Now, I'm going to initialize Git into this particular folder. In order to do that, I'm going to type git init and a dot. That means I'm going to initialize inside this directory. And you can see it says initialize empty Git repository. Next, I'm going to create a git ignore file. Basically, the files that we added to this git ignore file will be ignored by Git. So I have added these files, htaccess, dstore, and the caches. And if you're using SAS, then we can exclude the cache. And finally, most importantly, wp-config.php. Basically, this file includes the environment specific configurations. We are not going to use the same configuration in our development machine. So it's good to add wp-config into git ignore file. And let's save. And now I'm going to add all the files to Git. And then I'm going to commit. So normally I will append the date in the commit message, because sometime I will commit from the production. So now if I check Git status, it says nothing to commit, everything is clean. Great. Now it's a good thing to store this code base in a central repository, a central system like GitHub. So let's go to GitHub and let's create a new repository. Let's create a repository. And GitHub is smart enough to provide some instructions. So we have completed up until here. So I'm going to add this remote repository. And then I'm going to push the entire code base to this origin master. Okay, once you push the code base, you can come to GitHub, you can refresh, and you can see all the codes are inside GitHub. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the SSH clone URL. I'm going to copy this GitHub clone URL to my clipboard and come back to my local computer. So I'm inside my project folder. You can see the folder is completely clean, and I'm going to clone the repository inside this particular folder. So, okay, once the cloning is done, you can go to the local instance and you can simply follow the installation process. And here, don't worry about anything, you can give whatever. Somehow, this is going to be replaced. Great, now you can log in. Once you log in, you can go to plugins and install plugins. And here, you can select the GitHub updater and the WP Sync DB, and then you can activate those two plugins. Then you can go to tools and select migrate DB. Great. So let's go back to the production server and let's talk about the settings of WP Sync DB. So basically, if you switch the settings, you'll be able to see three options here. So accept pull request, accept push request, and enable SSL verification. We are not using any SSLs here, so we can leave this, but accepting pull and the accepting push are the two important options. So accepting pull means we can pull the database from somewhere else, and accepting push means we can push a database from somewhere else to the production server. So you need to be more cautious when you're using these two options. For now, I'm going to enable these two options, and I'm going to copy this connection URL. Now I'm going to switch back to the development instance, and here basically I'm going to pull the database from the production server. So I'm going to select pull, and I'm going to paste the connection URL. So if you see any errors here, maybe you missed these options too. So you need to make sure the options are enabled, and then you can see the plugin basically identified the local URL and what it's going to replace by. And normally I will save this migration profile because this is a pull. I'm going to say production pull. I'm going to save and migrate. And this is where the real magic happens. And now the WP Sync DB basically pulling the data from the network. Basically, it serialized the data in the database and it's transfer via our network, and we are pulling the database. And now it's almost done. Voila. So once the pull is done, it will ask you to log in again. So in this time, you will need to use the credentials that you use for the production website. Now, if you visit the website, you'll be able to see that it's identical to the production website. Great. Okay, let's assume that we are going to make some changes to the theme. Let's go back to the folder and let's open up the project folder in Sublime. I'm going to go to WP Content, Themes, 2015. And let's go to the header. So inside the site branding, I'm going to say edited. And let's come back to the developer instance and refresh. You can see it says edited. So now we need to push these changes to the production server. So let's come back to our terminal and let's type git status. And you can see this header PHP is modified. I'm going to add this to git and I'm going to push to GitHub. Now I'm going to switch to production server and I'm inside the project folder and I'm going to do a git pull. So basically we are pulling the changes from GitHub and I'm going to switch to the production site. And if I click refresh, you'll be able to find the changes in the production site. Great. So let's talk about another instance. Let's say we are going to work on a new post. Okay, I'm done with my post and I'm going to set a featured image. I'm going to drag and drop here, set featured image, and I'm going to publish. If I visit the website, my local instance, you can see the third post is here. Great. So how are we going to push these new changes to the production website? Now let's go to tools, migrate DB. In this time, instead of pull, we're going to push the changes to the production server. So let's go to nope, let's start fresh and let's push to the server. Let's paste the URL and here I'm going to save this profile. Since this can override the production website, I'm going to add some bang here. Production push. Great. So let's switch back to the production site and let's refresh. Obviously, we're going to see a error. That means the post is here because we transferred the database, but we haven't transferred the files. Let's do it quickly. Let's switch back to our terminal and switch to the local website and let's check the git status. You can see the post thumbnail is untracked currently. Let's add that to the repo and let's commit. And finally, let's push to GitHub. Great. Now let's come to the server again and let's do a git pull. Now, if you switch back to the production site and if you refresh, you'll be able to find the site is identical to the development instance of WordPress. So this is a very effective way to manage your WordPress workflow. I hope this screencast will greatly improve your WordPress workflow. So let me know what you think and I'll see you soon in another screencast. Cheers!
Let's face it, moving WordPress website is a real pain, either from production to localhost or the localhost to the production. In this episode, I'm going to walk you through the hardest way and I'm going to show you how to use two powerful plugins to facilitate your moving process.